motherfucker, you can't have my cornbread. That's for damn sure. Because if you try to take my cornbread, part 2 of my killing spree gonna begin up in here on your ass right now. If you think about my cornbread, get the taste out your mouth. That's for damn sure. Now fuck him, fuck that, because I'm from New York City, goddammit. Nobody take no cornbread from me. That goes for you and any other you motherfucking farmers wanna try some shit. You fuck around with me, it's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
Gonna hate and ain'ters gonna ain't.
All right, y'all, what's good? What's good? It's Maestro Styles and Trey Fraser here.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to an episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Make sure you guys follow us on our social media. We got the Instagram page at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Also on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. And you could check out our Facebook page and also our YouTube channel as well. We got a special guest in the building. Goes by the name of Ben Sudderth III, aka BS3. He is the founder and CEO of BS3 Radio. Ben, what's good, man? What's going on?
Hey, what's good? What's good? Glad to be here to chop it up with y'all.
Yes, sir.
No doubt. So let's start off with this, man. Tell us about what you got going on currently with BS3 Radio. I know you got the music thing going and you got the sports division going as well. So let us know what's going on currently.
Yeah, so man, we got a variety of shows. We're doing sports, we're doing society and culture, we're doing relationships, music. I mean, we got really some of everything. And I've pretty much moved over to just doing like live streaming, through StreamYard now. So I'm doing less podcasting, but we got a lot of great shows, man. My parents are on there. They got a show that they do. But yeah, it's just a wide variety. I didn't want to just focus mainly on sports. I wanted to kind of do some of everything.
Becoming a network.
Yeah, exactly.
Respect. What's the show about your parents, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so it's called Sudderth III podcast. It talks about family, love, marriage, relationships. Kind of over this past month, they've been doing Black history. So, talking about some Black inventors. So this kind of where I got, the passion of doing this from. Mm-hmm. But they really just got into it probably late last year. So
dope.
Yeah, they're kicking it off.
Dope.
That's what's up. So I wanted to get into this because you root for the teams down in Dallas. So it's the Cowboys, the Mavericks, Rangers, and the Tar Heels. But I wanted to touch on the Cowboys for a minute here. And the biggest news is Dak Prescott is currently rehabbing. He looks good. He still don't have a contract, though, which kind of annoys us over here on the podcast. But just wanted to get your thoughts on Dak Prescott and the contract situation, and where do you think, or how do you think this is going to end up in the long run?
Yeah, I think he'll be a Dallas Cowboy. One thing I've learned is that Jerry and this whole organization does not like change. They will hold on to somebody until they're 90 years old just to say that they held on to the person. So I think they'll get this all worked out. I think it's a year's situation. Dak wants a shorter deal. The Cowboys want a longer deal. Plus the money is tied up right now, because when you look at what last year was, and now they're going into this year with the salary cap, I think that's a major part of it too. And they're probably going to have to, some cap casualties. They're going to figure out who they're going to cut. But I think he'll be on the team. I think he'll be starting week 1. I think he'll be on the team long term because they already know what he gives them. And last year when you had Andy Dalton in there, you could see that Dak was covering up a whole bunch of holes, especially the offensive line.
So you think he's going to be a Cowboy long term? Is he going to be the second highest paid quarterback in the league?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Do I think he should be? Honestly, no. But it's the market. Like that's the way it is. It's not about what how much they are actually worth or how much they should be getting paid. It's the market. And if you're his agent, you're gonna say, give me the market value. And that's what you gotta do if you're in that position.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll be honest with you, I think he deserved the money. He just means too much to the team. Yeah. He means too much to the team. Not last year, obviously, but the year before, he was, I know. Well, let me say this. Last year, statistically, it was probably a little bit more about garbage time than anything. He was looking like one of those dudes. But the year before that, there were small speculations about or small conversations about him possibly being an MVP candidate. I think he ball. I think he deserves the money that he's about to get. If it's emphatically, a step under Patrick Mahomes' money in that market, I think he deserves every penny.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't give him Patrick Mahomes' money. I think Russ has got 35. You can put him. I would have want to put him right below that, but I think they're going to get a deal done. They're not one of those just going to run out and draft a quarterback in the first round. I highly doubt it.
Just for perspective, though. He led the league in passing yards right before he got hurt. And even maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that, he was still leading the league in passing yards. That's how good Dak Prescott was.
Yeah, I disagree. That was a little garbage time. A lot of that was.
I agree with you. It was garbage time.
All right, yeah. So I ain't going like stamp them right there.
Some of that was coming back. Obviously, a lot of that was coming back. A lot of that they were down going into the second half, and he had to throw. He had no choice.
Yep. But there's guys that are in that situation that have been down by a few scores and haven't been able to pull off comebacks like that. Dak Prescott, the comeback against the Falcons, and I get it was the Falcons, but. Against that team, against Cleveland, even though they lost that game, but he was racking up yards. There's not a lot of guys that can do that, in garbage time.
And he was spreading the ball around. People think he just threw it to Amari. He threw it to Gallup. Also, CD Lamb coming in there was major, and he was giving some to the tight end. So, to me, that shows a good quarterback where you can throw it to multiple people and not just one guy.
Yeah, he's definitely. He's that kind of quarterback. He should be in the field with Deshaun Watson, right with Patrick Mahomes, and obviously the contract Lamar Jackson is going to get soon. He should be right. He should be right up there with them.
Yeah. Now the difference, just to add on, the difference between this situation and past years is that you got Deshaun Watson who's trying to get out. You got this whole Russell Wilson situation. I don't really know what's going on here. He's trying to get out. So, it might be a lot of moving pieces. And I don't know what if the Cowboys are interested in either one of those two.
How you feel about the Russell Wilson possibly going to Dallas? You with that? I would assume no.
I would say, yeah. If he wants to come here, if there's a deal we can work that does not include giving up that first round pick, which I'm sure would have to be to get Russ. But if you could work it out without giving up that first round pick, I would say do it. But I think you gotta then know that you're done with Dak. Like you can't bring Russ in and then have Dak sitting over here too. That's
definitely not gonna work. Yeah.
So if they're all in, I wouldn't mind it. He's got the skill and everything.
So you would prefer? I'm sorry, Trey. Would you prefer? And obviously, I think right now Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott, but Dak is younger. Dak is in the system already and flourishing in the system. You would still rather have Russell Wilson in them circumstances?
Well, when you put it that way, I would say Dak then. But I think if you know if you're at this crossroads and you know Dak isn't going to sign, you know this is, you know, it's broken or fractured,
right?
Then I would say, you know, you go to Russ route.
I'm with you.
Yeah, because I mentioned that yesterday on the show that they're trying to give him 5 years, and Dak wants 4 years, and I believe the reason for that is because after that 4th year, there's an expectancy that this cap is going to go up. And I think that's smart on his part to, you know, have himself set up for that moment. But I wanted to get your thoughts on his defense, man, because they like underachieved like crazy. And I get it was the defensive coordinator's fault. Like Mike Nolan, the last stop I heard before he got to the Cowboys was when he was with the Niners. And this was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what do you feel about this defense, man? Can this defense get back to what it was the prior year?
Yeah, I think they can. I think we've seen a lot of young talent with Trayvon Diggs. I'm excited about him. I think we do miss Byron Jones. Byron Jones was on the team last year. I mean, he wasn't one of those guys that's going to get you 9 picks, but he was locking down his side, and they weren't getting the ball, you know, to his side or to that wide receiver he was covering. So I think they can get better. I think we love reclamation projects. So you look at Jalen Smith, who had, you know, 1.5 probably good years, and then they gave him his contract. Got Van Der Esch, who's got neck issues, which we all knew that from the jump when he got drafted.
Right.
The corners aren't great, and the secondary as a whole isn't great. And the D line was supposed to be like the shining spot, which they did have some moments, but if you look at the collective year as a whole, the whole defense was a failure. So I'm not even going to put it all on Nolan, because I mean, like you gotta make the play in front of you. If you're making bad angles, that's not on Mike Nolan, even though it's going to fall back on him because he's the D coordinator. But yeah, I think they can get back to it. I think they gotta figure out what works, because last year it did not work.
In your mind, it's system. Was it more system last year, or was it more just bad play?
I think it was more just bad play. I mean, not being able to make plays, and maybe you don't have the right personnel out there. Like I think you got to like really look in the mirror and see, did we fumble on a bunch of these guys, which could be a possibility.
Yeah, like Don Terry Poe for example.
Yeah.
Bright spots in the defense in your mind.
Yeah, Trayvon Diggs, for sure. I would definitely also go with Alden Smith, man, which the guy hadn't played in 3 or 5 years or something like that. Just come in. So I would definitely say him. And that's probably the only two that I could really say. Oh, Donovan Wilson, the safety.
Okay.
This is his 2nd or 3rd year, so I would kind of get him some bright spots, and we'll see.
The guy who stuck out to me, and I got a Dallas Cowboy fan who was constantly in my ear during the football season, constantly. But this person stuck out to me when you guys played, when we went over to you guys' home in Pittsburgh, obviously my team, went over and played you guys. 96 Gallimore popped off that screen. That how you feel about Gallimore?
I think he's good. From Oklahoma. I mean, they bring in those big D tackles, and I think he'll be better this upcoming year. I like that.
I tried to give the defense a little bit of bail early on in the season. They played some pretty good offenses in Cleveland and Atlanta, and then that Giants game, bruh. The Giants had one of the worst offenses in the league last year, and they gave up 30 plus to that team.
Yeah.
At that point, it was just like, it's official. This defense is just bad.
Yeah, the running joke was, I said every single week, if you play in fantasy or daily fantasy, start the running back that's going against the Cowboys. So they're gonna probably get 80 to 100 yards, and it was like that every week. I mean, that was hard to watch.
Your prediction: does Dak get a long-term deal before the season starts?
Before the season starts, I would say no. I think they're coming towards another franchise tag, which I hate that for him.
Wow.
Because the injury, like say that injury didn't go well and he's not rehabbing well. I mean, he could be nowhere right now. I mean, not even looking at signing with the team.
I'm gonna tell you straight up, I feel like if they give him a franchise tag, I would. If I were in his shoes, I'm sitting out.
Yeah, I mean, I think
sitting
that's
out.
I think that's smart. But if you look at the blueprint of the guys that sit out, like now, obviously Le'Veon Bell ended up being in the Super Bowl, but there was a long road from that point. The other guy, I think the other guy was Cam Chancellor that did it, a few years back, and he ended up retiring. So, I mean, I trust. I think Dak is one of those guys that will make the best sound decision. He seems like that type of person. And I think he's going to show up even with a franchise tag. He just seems like that type of guy.
No doubt. All right, man. Let's switch over to the NBA real quick and talk about your Dallas Mavericks, who right now have been disappointing, to say the least. You got Kristaps Porzingis coming off of the injury and not really playing up to a certain potential. And Luka's Luka. I mean, Luka's going to average close to a triple-double every night. Right. What are your feelings about this team, and what do you think about all these rumors that they're shopping Kristaps Porzingis to go elsewhere?
Yeah, I am disappointed. I was expecting definitely better than 500. I think they're one game above or below 500. They're playing tonight against OKC, but yeah, I was expecting a lot more, especially when you look at that playoff run.
Right
now, they ain't end up beating the Clippers, but to push the Clippers to that brink. Now, obviously, the Clippers were just not there, so I don't know if it really mattered. But yeah, I'm disappointed. I was expecting a lot more. The fact that there's rumors of them shopping Porzingis to me was just saying that was a failed trade, and I was thinking, okay, you're gonna get this guy that's 7 foot tall, can't really play down low. He's like another version of Dirk somewhat, besides the injuries, and then he had the meniscus last year. So it's like, where do you go from here? You just signed this guy to a massive deal, right? And whatever you do trade him for, you're not going to get back exactly what you paid him. So
yeah,
I would say keep the guy and try to, I would say you're going to have to get better in the draft. Try to make a trade. Maybe if you package a pick. I know we got Josh Richardson, which I was expecting a lot from him. And I think, too, COVID has torn up a lot of different teams, ours particular, too.
Yeah.
So maybe this second half, they can possibly, put something together. I just don't think they have enough, though. It just every night it's Luka and everybody else. I mean, you can't win like that. And then when you do have Porzingis, offensively, yeah, he's going to give you that, but defensively, he's a liability. So I mean, you're going to have to get something defensively to be able to run. And the fact is, this is the Western Conference with the Lakers and the Clippers, and with Portland, and with Utah, and with Denver. So I mean, like, they're not winning anything anyway. I'm not one of those fans that's like, oh, they could go all the way. They're not winning anything in the next probably couple of years, but they'll be competitive and fun to watch.
At least they got that playing situation where the 9 and the 10 seed could compete to at least, make it to the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's the thing when when you're a fan, you're not going to win a championship every year. Yeah, but do you want to be in the middle, or do you just want to be horrible and
right?
Go from the ground up.
Yeah.
We just been in the middle, since 2011, pretty much.
I was gonna say since the title run, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got anything, Maestro?
On the Mavericks, nah. I mean, I will say this. I like you. I had higher hopes. I mean, I had them as a 3rd seed before when the season started. I thought they could be that good. And I guess the season isn't over. But I mean, if you're looking at the standings right now and you're looking at the teams in the Western Conference, it's not looking good for my prediction.
Yeah, and I think with Porzingis, I think he gets a little stuck in his head sometimes. And if you talking about trading him, his response was, it is what it is. Eventually, I think he's just one of those guys that's going to end up checking out or not really going to give all the effort because like y'all really want me anyway. So like it can get bad if they're still shopping him and the deal doesn't get done.
Yeah.
So Ben, I'm a Knicks fan, And I've had friends and people who are also Knicks fans, back when that trade happened, tell me that, the Knicks messed up. They should have, kept on to him. But the reality was that he and his brother, who I guess was representing him at the time, they didn't want to play for the Knicks. So in that situation, you just had to do what you got to do, get draft picks and trade them off. And right now it's looking good for my Knicks at this point.
Yeah,
he just tried to find a way to rub in that his Knicks was doing good right now, and the nigga think he's slick, and
y'all won. Yeah, I mean, y'all, it's looking right now like y'all won the trade. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, look, man, don't try to.
He
steal
tried
my
to find
joy,
some way to slide that in.
Don't try to steal my joy.
I'm surprised.
I've suffered for 20 years, bruh. Like the fact that the Knicks are at 500 and it's March 3rd. Like, when's the last time that's happened to this team? Like, I'm gonna enjoy every minute. If we end up 500 and we miss the playoffs somehow, then so be it. At least I'll know that this team improved under Tom Thibodeau. We got some really good players, some young players, and I just can't wait to see, how high of a ceiling this team can go.
Yeah, let me ask you this real quick. When KD and Kyrie, when that rumor was swirling around, and then I want to ask you, like past years, were you thinking that big fish was going to come there?
I wanted Kevin Durant. Me and Maestro, we disagree on this, but I wanted Kevin Durant. And right when he tore his Achilles in the playoffs a couple of years ago, at that point I was like, ooh, like that's not good. And the history of players that tall that come off of those types of injuries was not very good. So in my mind, it was like, okay, I think the Knicks just need to stay the course, keep the draft picks. And even though KD was a free agent and, the Knicks had money, in New York, the optics would have been that the Knicks made the wrong decision by signing a superstar nonetheless, but a superstar coming off of an injury that was not going to play that particular year. So I was of the approval that, hey, if you don't get KD, you don't get Kyrie, hey, that's cool. Give the Nets props. We'll just keep on doing what we're doing, drafting the top 5. I think, we've been doing that for feels like 6 years now. But right now it seems like we got some good players. I like Emmanuel Quigley, a point guard and we've been, dying for a point guard forever. I like RJ Barrett. These guys are young. These guys got a ceiling. You got to give them some time, man.
Yeah, they got to develop.
Yeah, but that's nice. That's great. And it's not that you're wrong in your assessment, but KD right now with the Knicks as opposed to the Nets, you're looking at a possible championship team, and you're just not looking at a possible championship team with the Knicks right now, and you are with the Nets.
Right.
So
the problem is that the Knicks weren't attractive, and I think that's well known around the league. Players don't want to come play for the Knicks if you're a superstar.
I think what it is with that, and KD been saying it since he's been with Brooklyn. Yep. I never wanted to play with the Knicks. I don't know where the stories came from. I don't know who or why people have been saying it or who spread the rumor, but I never wanted to play with the Knicks. I was never going to the Knicks. And I think that's what's key right there. I was never going to the Knicks. So for y'all to be spreading the rumors, for all this hoopla that y'all was starting and all those things, it was a useless conversation because I was never coming to the Knicks.
And he even said in an interview that the Brooklyn Nets are a cooler franchise. And when you sit back and think about it,
I agree, by the way.
Think about, and I agree too. Think about all the nights that the Nets have Biggie night. They pay homage to, B.I.G. rest in peace. Look at their logos. Look at their floors. Like they change the floors up all the time. Like the Knicks don't do any of that stuff. The Knicks don't pay homage to, rappers in the city. They don't do none of that stuff. The Brooklyn Nets do that.
It's historic. I mean, the Knicks are one of those historic teams, and that's what they just been riding on for the longest.
Yeah,
right.
And I think too, they're always going to be tied to the top player because they're the Knicks. They're in New York. Whether the player likes it or not, whether the organization likes it or not, every single time there's a free agent, the story the next day is will he go to the Knicks? It's just It's just one of those storylines that will just continue to happen. I think no matter what.
How much do you think the ownership has to do with the Knicks being unattractable?
I think that's a part of it. I mean, like you got in the background the free Oakley, just the way that the organization hasn't been above average. You could draw that same parallel to the Cowboys, like the ownership. I mean, that's the only constant thing, and that's I think that's a major point.
It's funny. That's funny you said that, Ben, because Maestro, you'll get a kick out of this one. I just so happened to be looking through some files the other day, and I having a discussion about LeBron possibly going to New York and what would be a bigger deal for his legacy. And I remember you brought up the comparison that the Knicks are like the Dallas Cowboys in a sense that they're two of the top valuable franchises in all of sports, and yet they don't win anything. They haven't won championships for so many years now. Yeah. So it's funny Ben mentioned that, but I just happened to look at that video, and I think we had that debate 2 years ago, something like that. I don't know if you remember that, but
I'm vaguely, I talk a lot of shit.
and the most profitable. Every single time that Forbes story comes out, it's the Knicks, the Cowboys, and then
the
soccer
Yankees
team.
too. They there, but at least the Yankees win. So
yeah.
Yep. You got anything, Maestro?
Well, if we're gonna sit here and talk about current events, I saw something interesting on social media and on YouTube, literally 5 minutes before we came on. So if I can go to Pittsburgh Steelers world for a second, Ben, I'd love to get your opinion on the kind of tongue lashing that Mike Tomlin caught from Shannon and Skip Bayless the other day about I guess in some type of an interview or whatever, Mike Tomlin basically spoke about Eric Bieniemy not being hired as a head coach yet, and that he can't understand why that's not the case. And the long story short, Shannon Sharp was like, "Well, you haven't hired a black coach your entire tenure here, so low key you are a part of the problem." And it was on my mind, and I was trying to find a way to slide it in here because as much as I want to defend my coach, damn.
Wow. That's a good point. I didn't know that.
Yeah. We missed that yesterday, actually, Maestro.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until today. I didn't even hear that until today.
Okay. Yeah, we missed that one. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all. And I got a lot of respect for Tomlin. Period. The person he is, the coach, everything. And I think he probably does understand why Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job. But I think there may be something deeper to this Bieniemy not getting a job. Maybe Andy Reid could be on his way out. Andy Reid's like, hey, in the next 2 years, this is your job. Like, I mean, I think obviously he's a black coach, and the minority coaches have not been getting a lot of jobs. Now this year they said it increased, but I think that's just kind of like small numbers that it did. But back to Tomlin, that's a great point. And I think Tomlin's got to really look in the mirror, like what have I done to help this cause? And if he hasn't, then that's something that I think he's got to look at and really consider, because I can't really think of very many minority or black coaches on his staff.
I mean, they got a lot of the smaller guys. I mean, Antoine Randall was there for a little bit.
Joey Porter was there for a minute.
Porter, yeah, that was his token black coach for a while. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's not the issue that he doesn't hire black coaches. I know he hires black coaches. I see him on the sidelines. I know the names. You know, the running back coach Kirby Allen was there. Like we've had coaches that were black, but specifically, we just gave the OC job to Matt Canada because he was, a hire within the organization. But we interviewed Hugh Jackson. And I remember coming on the podcast and saying, I wouldn't mind having Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson didn't run a terrible offense in Cleveland. Now, I get the whole 0-16 and all those things. He didn't run a terrible offense in Oakland, I don't think. I wanted Hugh Jackson. That's who I wanted as a OC. I personally, and I obviously, I ain't gonna say Tomlin might not never hear it. He might hear it. I don't know how he be on the internet. Coach Tomlin, my OG. I like to think he the uncle I never had. I want you to hire somebody, man. I want you to hire a black coordinator somehow, some way.
And I think you said it, Maestro. And just for like further context, I think what Shannon and Skip were referring more to was that he hasn't hired a black offensive coordinator or a black defensive coordinator. I don't think they were entire coaching staff for like position, coaches, wide receiver coach, and any of that stuff. I don't think they were referring to that. I think they was just more referring to the OC and the DC. But in any event, I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I do respect Tomlin, and I do think that those boys over at Undisputed made a pretty good point that, hey, we understand that, you feel like Eric Bieniemy's not, been given this opportunity, but yet if we're talking about guys that have had tenure, like Mike Tomlin has had tenure as a head coach, a black head coach, nonetheless, for so long, that you would kind of help bring that movement along as far as position coaches, particularly on the defensive side and the offensive side in terms of coordinators.
Yeah, I just didn't like the way Shannon Sharp is raising his voice talking about my coach. He was right, but he started raising his voice and all the little bravado, like he won, you know what I'm saying? Like he got a real issue.
Yeah, that's shade. That's shade for you.
But yeah, I don't know if you've seen the clip or not. Mm-hmm. He was being a little too colorful with his voice to be talking to my coach like that. Even if you're making a valid point,
calling him out.
Yeah, and like I said, respectfully, he should be called out. The point that Shannon Sharp made when he said, you talking about hiring coaches, hiring black coaches, and you're part of the problem, and you're part of the problem for the same reasons that white coach organizations are part of the problem. We just keep saying, "Oh, he's not for us. He's not for us." Yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. He should hire some coordinators soon. I'd like to think, because I'll be honest with you, I don't think Matt Canada is going to be there long. I don't think it's going to work out for him. So I will be looking forward to a black OC hire pretty soon. Meaning
you got yourself a black quarterback too, man.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to speak
Dwayne
on
Haskins,
that.
man.
I'm not going to speak on that right now.
Dwayne Haskins, baby.
I'm not going to speak on that right now.
What's the Big Ben situation? Since we're talking about the Steelers,
he will be a Pittsburgh Steeler for the
to the contract is up.
Yeah, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want him to be the quarterback. I would rather find give me Jacoby Brissett, and you ain't got to pay him as much as you got to pay Ben Roethlisberger. Give me, I don't want Mason Rudolph, but at this stage of the game, if you're not going to throw the ball down the field, if you're not going to scheme, if you're not going to let him throw the ball, or whatever the hell, that one day is Ben can't throw, it's another day. They're not calling plays for him to throw. Whatever it is, I think Ben's just old. And Ben has never been a cerebral, like he's not a, mentally break down the defense and throw the ball quarterback. He's never been that. So it seems to me that, some of that fervor, some of that vigor is leaving Ben Roethlisberger. And it's okay. The Bama's 39 years old. So, I mean, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. Everybody can't beat Tom Brady. He don't take care of his body like Tom Brady take care of his body. Clearly,
that man get hit too much, man.
Yeah, he definitely not on that TB12 plan.
Yeah, he's definitely not. He's definitely not. Like he tried to size me, and let's be clear. And Trey, you and Chivs owe me something because I told y'all he was going to play all 16 games this year, and he ended up playing it and throwing more than he's ever thrown. And I told y'all he wasn't going to miss no games, and he
Too
didn't.
bad we didn't bet on anything.
Yeah, nah, we did. We
Too
did.
bad we didn't bet on nothing.
Maybe
I don't know you a damn thing.
Maybe you finagled your way out of a. I know you to do that. So maybe you finagled your way out of a bet. But I know Chibs. I know Chibs did. But
all that Chibs, man.
Yeah, because he started using words like handicap and all that little, that shit. I don't know, but I said, look, I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, I man a columnist, man. He's using them big words, man.
Spreads and all that. I don't know all that. I know that Ben Roethlisberger played all 16 games, and I ain't heard nothing from nobody.
Yeah, I was calling him to not play all 16 because I play fantasy.
Yeah.
Every time I get Big Ben, it's guaranteed he's gonna get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
6, 7, somewhere around there. But he played the whole year.
And terrible, night and day year, I would say.
Yeah,
he wasn't terrible in the beginning, but
first half and second half was two different stories.
Yeah.
Hey, they got to get a running game though.
Sure.
Regardless of who the quarterback is, they got to get a running game.
I've been off Connor for like 2 years. I've been off of him
He's
for
a
like
goal
2
line.
years.
He's your goal line back.
I think at best he is a change of pace back. At best. Yeah, I don't think he's a number one back. Yeah, I think if we could have held on to Le'Veon, James Conner would be right in pocket to the type of running back I think he is.
Yeah. Hey Ben, I'm glad you brought up Andy Reid's name a little bit earlier because I wanted to kind of bring this update on the little girl that was hurt in the car accident by Britt Reid, who's Andy Reid's son, who was on the Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff. And there's reports out there that the little girl who was in a coma and had woken up is still unresponsive and has to be in a wheelchair for the foreseeable future. And obviously, our thoughts and prayers, go out to her and her family and stuff. But the lawyer of the family has spoken and said that, we want Britt Reid in jail. Like we want the worst possible charges for this man. And I said it when it happened, right before the Super Bowl, and then we kind of recapped it after the fact. Britt Reid should have lost his job right then and there on the spot. Yeah. But because his contract was running out, they decided, well, let's just wait for his contract to run out. And then we just not, sign it back, which I thought was BS. But yeah, that man should have been fired right there on the spot. Your thoughts on all this, man? Because I agree with the lawyer that the family needs to go after this man as hard as they can. Yeah.
It was shocking to see it because that was the day. Was that Friday? I think that was the Friday.
It was a Friday, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, Britt Reid. I'm like, first of all, who is that? What happened? And you see the accident, and then you see he was drinking. So yeah, if I'm that girl's parents, if that was any of our kids, he needs to get the fullest extent of the law. No shortcuts. No, this was his first time. If this girl's going to be in a wheelchair for the foreseeable future, maybe longer than that, I mean that's horrible. I mean, and I think it took an effect on Andy Reid too. Like this, obviously that's your son. This is a Super Bowl. You got a job to do. you got to be having mixed emotions, thinking about your son, what he did. How is that going to affect you? How is it going to affect your family as a whole? And it was tragic. I mean, you don't want to see anything like that happen. Something that maybe could have been preventable. You don't want to see that happen at all. And that's definitely going to affect his life. And yeah, he needs to go to jail. I mean, like you don't need to allow this guy just because he is who he is or because he's somebody's son that he gets any favors.
Yeah, 100%. I agree 100%.
No doubt. I got one more question for you, Ben. So, of all the teams you root for, which one you think is closest to winning the chip?
Wow. I'm not gonna say that's a hard question because neither of them really. Start off with the Tar Heels. March Madness is coming up. They're not even ranked right now. Duke's not ranked, so that's a rare occurrence.
Yeah.
So not them.
That's crazy.
Not the Mavs either. The Rangers really aren't going to be making a lot of noise. So I guess you would have to say the Cowboys by default. But they got to put it all together. If they can put it all together, this is what every single fan says. But if they could put it all together on paper, they look like a legit team that could win and at least go to the championship game. Like that's it. Like going just to the divisional round is over with. Playing in the wild card and losing, like that's old.
Yeah.
Like, get to the championship game and win. I mean, and I think if they put it all together on paper, they could be the ones to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man. It's so much easier in the NFL than the other sports to, make a run to the Super Bowl. So I would agree with you there.
Yeah,
gotta get hot. That's it.
Hot at the right time.
I mean, on paper, like you said, on paper, I've been high on the Cowboys in the NFC for about 2 or 3 years, and for whatever reason, injury, shit franchise, whatever the reason is, they haven't been able to put it together. But on paper, man, I mean, but when you look at it on paper, every single year for since the emergence of Dak and Ezekiel Elliott, they look like okay. They got some pieces to put some stuff together, man, and they haven't. So
yeah, and they got a top pick. They got a top 10 pick this year. So I mean, like this is your opportunity to you gotta probably draft O-line or a corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I think about those Romo teams. Like when Tio was there, that one year they won 13 games, and it was like, yo, that team looked like they was going to the Super Bowl, and then they get knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, and bringing in Dan Quinn, I got mixed emotions, but the one thing he was good at when he was a coach was a DC.
DC, yeah.
When he was in Seattle, right?
Yeah, he helped build the Legion of Boom. People said, "Oh, it was." I think people have been saying it was Ken Norton or it was somebody else that really orchestrated it. But I mean, the guy was there, so something about defense. Yeah, being a head coach is a different story.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Hey, so Ben, man, we appreciate you hopping on here with us for a few minutes, man. Let everybody know where they can reach you at on social media.
Yeah, definitely. So at BS3 Radio, all avenues of social media. On Facebook, it's my full name, Ben Sudderth III. And also check out the website, BS3Radio.com. All the content, all the information is right there.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We appreciate you, man. And thanks for doing this, bro.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right.
All right.
Yes.